Hello everyone. Let's go through the chapter Deep Water, written by William Douglas. It is from the NCERT book for class 12th, Flamingo. It's prepared and narrated by Preeti Shrivastava, PGT English, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Sangathan. William Douglas was an American jurist and politician who served as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Nominated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Douglas was confirmed at the age of 40, one of the youngest justices appointed to the court. In this chapter, you will also come across a very famous quotation by Franklin D. Roosevelt, that is, all we have to fear is the fear itself. Let's go through few word meanings. Treacherous, presenting hidden or unpredictable dangers. Subdued, reflective or depressed. Aversion, a strong dislike or disinclination. Revived, restored to life. Summoned, make an effort to produce from within oneself. Panicky, uncontrollable fear or anxiety. Grab, grasp or seize suddenly and roughly. Flailed, wave or swing wildly. Seized, take hold of suddenly and forcibly. Oblivion, the state of being unaware or unconscious. Seized, come or bring to an end. Ruined, damaged or harmed. Deprived, lacking a specified benefit. Residual, remaining after the greater part has gone. Miniature, very small of its kind. Due to certain reasons or circumstances, we often develop fears since our childhood. Some phobias. Talking about William Douglas, he had great passion for water. He longed to learn swimming. When he was 3 or 4 years, he was taken to a beach in California by his father. While surfing on the shore, a huge wave knocked him. Fear of water set deep in him. That was his childhood fear. But he did not give up. After some years, he wanted to swim in the Yakima River. But his mother warned him against that idea. The Yakima River is treacherous. When you are determined towards your goal, you will do anything to achieve it. Even after that childhood fear, William Douglas did not give up. And here started his next misadventure. He joined the YMCA Pool Association. The YMCA pool's deepest end was 9 feet deep and as such safe. One day, while waiting for the other boys to come, a big boy threw him into the deepest end of the water. Douglas had the courage to face the situation. He went down and down with a hope to reach the bottom to make a big leap upward. But first time when he went down, he was so slow in his journey that it took him a very long time to reach the bottom, and therefore he did not have the energy to strike the bottom hard and come up to the surface. 3 times he went down, but the 3rd time he lost consciousness and was nearly dead. Douglas gives a vivid description of his fear and feelings, which you will be doing shortly. Someone dragged him out of the water and his life was saved. After this incident, Douglas tried to avoid water and water sports as much as possible. But when he grew up, water began to tempt him again. He really wanted to learn swimming. So he got a trainer, one instructor, and started learning swimming. After the completion of the training, he went to various rivers, pools, lakes, and swam alone to get rid of his fear. In 3 months, his fear began to fade. Bit by bit, he shed his fears. The instructor built a swimmer out of Douglas. So we can easily see that winners are not those who never fail, but winners are those who never quit. But even after the formal training, Douglas was unsure of himself. He started a self training. He went to the following rivers and lakes. That was Lake Wentworth, Triggs Islands, Stamp Act Island, Teton, Conrad Meadows, Conrad Creek Trail, and so on. He conquered the fear of water forever finally. And as I already told you, that President Roosevelt had once said, all we have to fear is fear itself. And you must know that Roosevelt was an American politician who served as the 32nd President of United States. Let's go through the feelings of Douglas while he was drowning at the YMCA pool. Now this comes as a question, and it is a very important question as well. So let us see that what were the feelings Douglas went through. He swallowed lots of water. He tried to bring legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling him under. He screamed, but only the water heard. Stiff, rigid with fear he was. His lungs ached, his head throbbed, his legs felt lifeless. He looked for ropes, ladders, water wings, but could find nothing but water. Sheer stark terror gripped his heart. He shook and trembled with fright. His arms wouldn't move, his legs wouldn't move. His legs felt limp, and a blackness swept over his brain. No more panic. It was quiet and peaceful. He crossed to oblivion, and the curtain of life fell. So it so happened that he left all the efforts, all the efforts ceased, and he was nearly drowned. He lost his consciousness. But still Douglas did not give up. He came to know the waters of the Cascades. He wanted to get into them. But the terror that had seized him in the pool, YMCA pool, would come back. It would take possession of him. His legs would become paralyzed. Icy horror would grab his heart. It ruined his fishing trips, deprived him of the joy of canoeing, boating, and swimming, and therefore Douglas decided to learn swimming anyhow. Douglas hired one instructor for formal training. Instructor started his training. He tied a rope to the belt of Douglas. Other end of the rope went across a pulley. He made Douglas go back and forth in the water for weeks together. Then he made Douglas inhale and exhale in the water. Then he made Douglas kick legs against the force of water. So bit by bit, the instructor built a swimmer out of Douglas. And these all efforts went on for weeks and months together. But as we have just now learnt that Douglas was still unsure, even after the formal training, whether he had conquered the old terror. This again comes as a question, and it is very important also. Douglas still felt terror-stricken even after the training when he was alone in the pool. The remnants of the old terror would return, but he would rebuke it and go for another length of the pool. He was still not satisfied, so he went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire, dived off a dock at Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake. He had his residual doubts still. So he went to Mead Glacier, dived into Warm Lake, and swam across to the other shore and back. Thus he made sure that he had conquered the old terror would never come back. He laughed at his fear and he told his fear, Mr. Fear, go away. I am no longer scared of you. I'll be taking up two value-based questions from the chapter. Number 1. All we have to fear is fear itself. And as we know that President Roosevelt, the 32nd President of United States, said that. Describe the experience of Douglas which led to making of the statement. Now you know that Douglas has experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that the fear of death can cause. But he did not give up. He was will-powered. He had that determination and courage. He had that patience also. He was ready to put in all efforts also to overcome his terrors and fears. The will to live brushed aside all his fears. And in reality, all our fears are only psychological, and they can be easily won over if we can control our mind. This realization makes Douglas resolve to learn swimming by engaging an instructor. The instructor piece by piece built Douglas into a swimmer. However, his first step was to drive away the fear of Douglas towards water before training him in swimming techniques. When Douglas tried and swam the length of the pool up and down, small traces of his old terror of water would return. So he went to Lake Wentworth, dived at Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. Finally, he was certain that he had conquered his fear of water. Another value-based and very important question is this second one. The story Deep Water has made you realize that with determination and perseverance, one can accomplish the impossible. You have to write a paragraph. That positive attitude and courage can help you to achieve success in life. So we know that determination and perseverance is a combination of attributes and abilities that drive people to set goals for themselves and then to take the initiative to achieve these goals. Douglas was able to overcome his fear of water by the values of positive attitude and courage. Initially, he was afraid of water, but his grit and determination made him get an instructor to train him and overcome his fear. Determination today leads to our success tomorrow. It is that innate quality in our soul which comes to surface when we face difficult tasks. It is a reflection of our values taught to us by society and circumstances and enables us to overcome all obstacles. Let's go through few short questions and their value points. 1. What happened with Douglas on the California beach? He was almost swept away by a huge wave. Although father saved him, but fear of water set in him. What did Douglas' mother warn him of? So she warned him against swimming in the treacherous Yakima River. Next, which was the misadventure that took place with Douglas? Here you have to mention the misadventure that took place with him at YMCA pool. He was thrown into the deep end of the pool by a big boy. He was nearly drowned. Next, feelings of Douglas as he was drowning. You have read that in detail. Here only value points are given. You must go through all the points and learn them, understand them. Next, why was Douglas so keen to learn swimming? Hydrophobia or the fear of water deprived him from canoeing, boating, swimming, water sports, and he really wanted to learn swimming. How did the instructor build a swimmer out of Douglas? So in detail you have already read These are the value points: that he tied a rope in the belt of Douglas, other end of the rope went across the pulley, and he made Douglas go back and forth in water, then inhale and exhale during swimming, and also kick legs. Next and the last, how did Douglas ensure that he had overcome his fear? So he went to Lake Wentworth, Triggs Island, Stamp Act Island, and he shed away his residual fear and became an excellent swimmer. So this is the story, this is the biography of William Douglas, showing us that willpower, determination, perseverance can help us overcome all the hurdles in life. Thank you. You can contact me on the given details.